Hey everyone, welcome back to the 5 p.m. podcast. I'm Dan, your resident politics nerd, and as always, I'm joined by the one and only Tina.
Hey everybody, it's great to be back. And you know, Dan, this week's topic is something I've been seeing all over my social media feeds. It's complex, it's controversial, and I think we need to dive right in.
Oh, I'm already intrigued. So we're talking about President Trump's latest move, expanding the Migrant Operations Center at Guantanamo Bay. This is a pretty big deal, right?
It's huge. I mean, he's issued an executive order to ramp up the detention capacity there. And get this, they're talking about housing up to 30,000 migrants. It's a scale we haven't really seen before.
30,000, wow. So basically, they're focusing on what the administration calls high-priority criminal aliens. But I'm wondering, what's the definition of that, exactly?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? From what I've gathered, it seems to be anyone who's committed a crime in the U.S. and is here unlawfully. But the details are still a bit fuzzy. What we do know is that they are sending about 500 more Marines to Guantanamo and another 500 soldiers to the southwest border.
Right, so we're talking about a significant military presence here. It's kind of blurring the lines between immigration enforcement and military operations, don't you think?
I agree. And that's what has a lot of people concerned. Plus, Guantanamo Bay. It's got this whole history, you know? It's not just some random detention center.
Oh, for sure. I was just reading about how it was used back in the 90s to hold Haitian refugees. And even then, there were all these legal and ethical debates.
Exactly. It brings up so many questions about due process. I mean, will these migrants have access to lawyers? Will they be able to challenge their detention in court? It feels like we're entering a legal gray area.
Yeah, and Dr. Alex Rodriguez, this professor of immigration law at Georgetown, he called it a potential legal black hole. That's a pretty chilling description.
It is. And you know, it's not just about the legal stuff. Think about the conditions there. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was talking about housing people in tents in Guantanamo Bay in the summer.
Oh man, the heat there is no joke. I remember reading this report about the logistical challenges of expanding the facility. We're talking about food, water, medical care for potentially 30,000 people.
It's a massive undertaking. And you know what else I've been thinking about? The message this sends to the rest of the world. How are other countries going to react to this?
That's a great point. I mean, we've got General Sarah Johnson, she's a retired commander from U.S. Southern Command, saying that this could strain military readiness. So there's that aspect too.
It's like we're opening Pandora's box here. And the reactions online are all over the place. Some people are saying it's necessary for national security. Others are calling it a human rights violation waiting to happen.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I have a feeling we'll be talking about this for many months to come.
No doubt, and I bet we'll see some legal challenges too. I mean, can they really do this without Congress getting involved?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, legally speaking. Executive orders have limits, but
this administration seems determined to push those limits. It's like they're testing the boundaries of what's possible.
So to wrap things up a little bit, we have a major expansion of a controversial detention center, a big increase in military involvement in immigration, and a whole lot of unanswered legal and ethical questions. Does that about sum it up?
I think so. And we haven't even touched on the potential impact on U.S. relations with other countries, especially in Latin America. That's a whole other can of worms.
Right. It's like every time you peel back one layer, there's another one underneath. It's a complex issue, to say the least.
For sure. Well, listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You can find us on all the usual social media platforms. Let us know what you think about this expansion at Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, and if you have any questions you want us to dig into, send them our way. We're always up for exploring these complex topics together.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And as always, keep those minds open and those questions coming.
See ya next time on the 5 p.m. podcasts.